Okay, so guys, we're not going to use an underlying energy since we pulled so many cards already, but I want you to take a look at it for a second here. This is very similar to the concept of the 3 cards that we, typically pull on our website, which is past, present, future. Sometimes, considering depending on the question, right? So sometimes it's past, present, future, or mind, body, spirit, whatever you guys are asking. Especially, it's really varies, but it's a very simple 3-card spread that people use, that everybody uses, but we use it on our website in various ways to help you guys out. But I do want you guys to notice, right, that there's 2 extra cards under each section. And these 2 cards indicate the internal and the external. So you have an internal dialogue, you have an internal past and then your external past. How this past really affected your the world outside of you, right? What happened, right? This is the general energies, but this takes a closer look at what's going on. You're always going to have, you're always going to have advice in the present though. So you can always expect that here. But these are like pretty much guidelines to pretty much base off of and to help you out with the present. Okay. Now let's go ahead and dive in. Now with your past energy, you guys have the 5 of Cups. So in the past, you guys have been dealing with some sort of loss, something that was very near and dear to your heart, something that really meant something valuable to you. But I feel like at the same time, there was there's still a relationship to deal with. There was still something to work with. There may have been something that was lost, but it's not everything. So I feel like in the past, you guys had to overcome a certain dilemma in regards to how you guys, in regards to how you guys lost something and what you guys needed to do to build off of what you guys could still work with despite the loss. Now, in the present, you guys are trying to gain balance, or you guys are regaining balance in your relationship, a proper give and take, and making sure that you're giving with a genuine heart and receiving with gratitude, that sort of thing. Because here with the 6 of Pentacles here, this is, it's a lot of the times known as the charity card, but this is about really making sure that you're giving with an open heart and no expectations from others, as well as expecting, as well as receiving this very thing with gratitude. Okay. But it's not just about giving and taking per se. It's also about money, it's about funds, a good balance flow. It's also about making sure that there is a give and take in the relationship sense, where things that you guys have arranged are in a proper flow. There's a good balance in the relationship where there's time with friends, time with family, but there's also time with the couple, right? Being a couple. So managing the whole family life and everything like that, there's that too in the present. Now in the future, I love this. You guys have the 4 of Wands. So you guys get to a place of higher commitment. You guys feel more committed to the individual. There's a lot more commitment being established here, and a time of celebration because you guys have worked so hard to get to this point. All right. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive a little deeper here. We're going to move back to the past and look at these individual energies. Now, with the 5 of Cups here as your past energy, experiencing loss internally, you were dealing with old issues. So I feel like in the past, you had to deal with old issues in regards to loss, or this loss brought up some old issues. There was some sort of trigger here that you guys had to really look at and really figure out how to pull out those swords and heal from those old issues. And it was definitely hard, For a lot of this case, it could have been that you guys have lost some sort of support from individuals someone that you, or people that you guys connect with, right? This could be anything, honestly, but you've lost something that is emotionally precious to you in the past. It's more important, and I feel like it either brought up old pains or it brought you heartache internally. It hurt you, and I feel like it had to take a lot out of you to really shift your focus, but it definitely proved to be rewarding here. I feel like now externally you had a lot of struggle, like with your not with your individuality, but with your couple. Perhaps you guys had to deal with a lot of lack in the relationship, which was potentially what was going on here. Lack of support, lack of emotional support, lack of communication, lack of finances potentially even. There could have been a lack of stability in the relationship because there isn't a lot of time being spent in there wasn't a lot of time being spent in the relationship. That's why they're shifting now to the Six of Pentacles, where you guys are trying to gain balance. But externally, I feel like you guys were working through a difficult time. You guys felt very vulnerable, left out in the cold, even potentially. But this is a process of where you guys were seeing where there's lack and making the steps necessary to make the change. And that change required you to look at the two cups behind you and recognize, hey, there's still a relationship there, and I'm going to make it work as much as I can. Now, in your present, you have the Six of Cups. Or Six of Pentacles, rather. And the Six of Pentacles, like I said, is about, balancing your situation, balancing your life, balancing give and take situations within relationships. Now, here, internally, you have the Ten of Wands, which is talking about feeling burdened. There's a lot on your plate. And honestly, you've been through so much with this individual that you're not actually upset about necessarily. Well, you are upset, right? You can be very upset and very burdened and very exhausted about what you have to do. But you've been through a lot with this individual. You're not ready to just kind of toss it off the edge or just kind of leave it behind. You have a lot of pride and invested energy into this. That's what I always say with the Ten of Wands. You invested a lot of your energy to this relationship, and not to mention you have ties to the work that you're doing, or ties to the individual that you're with, because you have put your heart and soul into it. You've really felt passionate and feel passionate currently about what you're still involved in. So I feel like this is about stabilizing those scales and really finding the level playing field in the situation. But it's still a burden because you're still having to work with this issue of what's lacking, because there may be still a lot of lack that you're trying to make up for, but you're trying to even it out. You're trying to take that little, I don't know, spatula or that flat piece of plastic, and just trying to straighten out the fabric on the table because there's a lot of wrinkles. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to flatten it out. So internally, you're feeling very burdened and very exhausted. Now, externally, you have the Seven of Swords. Be very careful with this energy. And I don't know if this is necessarily you being sneaky or not being honest or not being very straight up, avoiding situations. Be very careful, because in regards to building a foundation and making things stable, you really want to make sure that everything is on the down low. You know what's going on, and you have everything in front of you. You have the truth. And I'm not saying you guys are lying, but you don't want to necessarily avoid certain situations that could be fixed now, because it could be, begin to snowball and cause other problems later. So I feel like with the Seven of Swords, be very careful not to avoid any situations, especially if you're feeling exhausted. Now, you could be dealing with an individual that is currently lying to you, or someone that's not really being very honest. In that regards, as long as you're remaining honest, and you follow your intuition, of course. If you have your honesty, if you remain honest and face the situations head on, then you can you will be able to spot the lies. The darkness always comes to light, right? So it will come out. But as long as you do your half, the universe will have to bounce back. It'll have to just snap in place. But I don't think there's anybody necessarily lying to you. It could be, but I don't think so. I feel like there's more avoidance than anything. And maybe there's lies to avoid something, but more importantly, I feel like it's just avoid, because there's a lot of stuff that's wrong. Now, to the advice to move to the Four of Wands and the internal, external energies is to really focus on your value. And understand the value of giving and receiving. Now, understanding that you guys don't have to give when you don't want to. You don't have to be obligated to give certain services or certain things if you don't want to, because honestly, you want to come from a place of genuinity, of being genuine, and you guys also want to be, you guys honestly want to receive with that same intention. You don't want anybody to feel obligated to give you something. So it's important to always make sure you come from a place of being genuine, and as well as being authentic to your feelings, because you are worth a lot. So you have to really make sure that your emotions are just as much involved and interested in being in giving what you're potentially going to give. At the same time, you don't want to give with expectations. You don't want to give with anything attached to it. This is like a free loan pretty much. But this is love, this is relationships. So why would you have expectations in regards to what you give, right? I feel like if anything, you want to give from the kindness of your heart, and that will be reciprocated, right? The karma, the law of attraction, right? That's, you live, be the person in the relationship who you want to be, and it will be reciprocated back to you. So it's important to note that with the Six of Pentacles, you want to be sure that you are giving when you want to give, and you are, not it's not, burdensome on you at any point, because you do have the Ten of Wands here, making sure that you're, there's no codependent activity going on, whether it's you or your partner. You want to eliminate that completely, because you're not building a healthy flow. So you want to give when you're genuine, not to sacrifice when you need to actually take care of yourself, but taking care of someone else. You don't want to ever do that. And you want to really focus on being authentic when you give that person the things that you want, and having no strings attached, no expectations. And it makes the giving a lot easier and less pressure for you, because when you give to someone, you come from a place of openness. So it's good on you. And then you also want to be sure that you're receiving with gratitude. I know it can be hard to receive from others, especially if you're the giver, which it's kind of looking like here with that Ten of Wands, but it's good to receive, because there's honestly, it's showing gratitude in being grateful for the reciprocation of your manifestation, because you are manifesting. It's like you manifest, and then you have the opportunity to get something from somebody, and you're like, nah, that is your manifestation though. And sometimes it's okay to receive, especially if it's something that you want, and you're not sure if you should take it from somebody. I definitely take it, right? You can do whatever you want, right? You can definitely discard a lot of this advice. However, the advice here is to really look at how the process of you giving and taking is, and the balanced flow of your relationship. For a lot of you guys, it looks like it's individual. It's financial. So this is also about the workflow that you have here. So be careful, in regards to spending. You guys may have had a bit of moolah decrease significantly, and you guys are trying to build that up. There's a lot of burden trying to build that up. As long as you remain focused and do what you need to do, and you guys will get the return from it. Okay. Also, guys, with this Six of Pentacles in regards to relationships and quality time, spending quality time together, you want to be sure that you're balancing the flow of, doing works, spending time with friends and spending time with your partner, right? Or handling other responsibilities, spending time with your partner. You want to balance that out in your life. There has to be a proper balance to that. And for some people, maybe when you're stressed out, or when you're stressed out, your partner's stressed out, they may be overburdened, and they may try to escape. They may try to use tactics to escape, like video games, or spending time with friends, or going out, or whatever. That's not really spending a lot of time with you. And you want if you want quality time with your partner, you want to be the person that is, living the life of someone that spends quality time with the individual, which means like setting up dates, setting up times to really hang out, putting that effort towards building a relationship that is going to require a good balance of, life, right? A balance of life and relationship. So it's a burden too, especially if you're the one that has to initiate it. But this is, it's still your relationship. This is still something that you are really building towards, and it's got a lot of things. It's got a lot of holes. It's got to fix. So it's going to require some effort on you to do so. And as long as you put in the effort, and you want to put in the effort into the relationship to build it, you will potentially see the returns come back to you. So that's the always bonus. But be very careful about avoiding certain situations that need to be addressed. Because if you avoid those situations, it can potentially, like I said, snowball and become a bigger problem and more weight on your back here. Not to mention, it can disrupt the flow here. Now we move on to the future here with the Four of Wands, and I want to take a look at this really quickly, because honestly, the Four of Wands is indicating that you guys get to a higher place of commitment because of the stability that you guys potentially put in place. But this is all about free will. The future is just a speculation, while this is your current moment, right? What can you do in the present? Living in the moment is so important because you can get to this and not even think about it, right? You not even realize that you got here to this point. But you have to focus in the moment. Now, the Four of Wands is getting to a higher place of commitment, really celebrating where you guys are, where you guys, how you guys feel in regards to, seeing the progress of your situation stabilize finally. Now, this is not the only place to be, right? This is not the final end game. There's more steps to take to become, something more, right? To be, because there's other layers and levels to relationships that everyone takes. And I feel like this is a good step in the right direction, and it's totally worth celebrating and recognizing its success. Internally, you feel this connection strengthen. You do feel more love. You feel feel open to it. Okay, and I do feel like that you guys really connect and strengthen that connection that you have. There is a strong connection with you and this individual that's in your life, and I feel like this is an excellent time. And this is an excellent, time because you guys have put in so much work and you guys have developed a connection so tight that you guys feel it, and it's amazing. Now, with the lovers, with the Six of Swords rather, in the future, this could indicate moving forward, moving on, finding new ways of doing something, right? Exploring other options, because you're leaving behind a situation that didn't work. You're leaving behind a situation that isn't, fulfilling, to a place where there is more potential prosperity. And that's what the Four of Wands is, right? You've made it to this place of you're trying to get to a place where you guys can stabilize and begin to prosper, to begin to blossom as a relationship, to really reach the peaks of the relationship that you guys can potentially gain. So I do see goodness coming into the future, but the whole point of making your future happen is putting in the effort, is you doing your part, right? So I really feel like you guys got this in the bag. Difficult, like I said, holes, things going on in the foundation, but this is the process of where you can patch them out. Alright, Cancer, let me go ahead and pull you guys your Whispers of Love really fast before we wrap up the video. Okay. Alright, and you guys for the Whispers of Love have listen to your heart. Okay? Ooh, that's so awesome. Let me go ahead and pull this. Okay, listen to your heart. You are listening to what is being said to you, but you need to listen with a loving heart. Listen with your heart. I read it wrong. So it's listen with your heart. Listen. So you're listening to what is being said to you, but listen with your loving heart. So it's kind of almost like giving compassion, to the person that's that you're communicating with. So as long as you're, receiving, giving passion to the individual and showing love and support and listening to them, things will be, set. But you also want to make sure that you're receiving that same sort of reciprocation, right? The same sort of, practice, because you're not the only person in the relationship, one, and you deserve that treatment as well, to be listened to. So it's a good balance, right? Listening to one another, having compassion for one another, and trying to look for solutions and ways of pushing through the situation with one another. Love it.